Hello and welcome to another edition of Comics and Pop. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Rosen, along with Troy Cannon and Carlos Idarraga. And today we are going to be discussing The Batman out in theaters now. I just saw, they were waiting on me because I just saw this last night. I was afraid to see it because I didn't think I was going to like it. I was really worried about it. I got to say, much better than I thought. I don't think I liked it as much as these guys, but we're going to talk all about it. Let's take it away first before I give my thoughts. Troy, let's start with you this week.
I would like to take credit for the Batman being this good, because I have thought since I was a little kid that Marvel, DC, now Sony, Fox, different people like that have been following me around, taking my ideas, sometimes right out of my head whilst I'm thinking them. And I remember telling the guy a long time ago, he was a comic book guy, we were working together and everything, and we were sitting and talking. We're supposed to be working, we weren't working, but we were sitting and talking comic books. And he was like, what would you make for the perfect Batman movie? And I thought of it. I was like, you know what, they should concentrate on him being a detective, man, because he's smart. They should concentrate on him being scary, because not only are the villains scared of him, some of the heroes are scared of him. Blue Beetle won't talk to him because he's scared to talk to him. Booster Gold is scared to approach him. Some of the heroes are scared of him also. And they should concentrate on that. And he should be looking for a child murderer, maybe Zaz or somebody. And it should be a mystery through the whole thing. This wasn't exactly what I thought of, but it was close enough that I think they owe me a check. I don't know how much.
DC's on DC board meetings. I don't know what's Troy saying. Let's figure that out.
This was a good one. I think that they did this a la Joker. They said, let's keep it grounded. Instead of him having 27 different items that he throws at people and gases and explosions and whatever, make him a detective in tactical gear with a cool car that sounds like a dragon, and do that aspect of it. It's like when they redid 007 and they said, Daniel Craig, we're going to give you the pen with the laser. And he's like, nah, we're going to give you the car that shoots rockets. He's like, I don't think so. He said, well, how are you going to beat these guys? He's like, I'm just going to beat them to death. And that's what Batman did. He didn't have all of the gadgets and the throwing stuff in the utility belt. He was just beating people to death. They saw him come out of the darkness, and the first thing he did was grab a dude and beat him. I'm pretty sure that guy's dead. He beat a dude down to the ground and stood up. That was scarier than if, a Batarang would have came out and hit somebody in the head. Batarang comes out, I'm thinking, okay, we're fighting a clown in the car. A dude beats another dude to death. That could happen. People beat each other to death all the time. So I'm like, it was grounded, and I liked that aspect of it.
Carlos, your initial thoughts.
So for all our fans who've been watching all of our, our 3 or 4 fans who've been watching all of our episodes, the past few episodes, I've kind of tried to do these things. Like, I broke up my Iron Man mask, and I was like, an Iron Man, and I had a Captain America one. I was, Captain Lois and Iron Lois, whatever. So being that this is Batman, I'm going to try to do this one as emo Bruce Wayne. I'm going to do this here, like emo Bruce Wayne. Let's see if I'm going to do a bit of brooding and stuff, dude. So how did I feel about this? Well, so I thought it was really good, man. I went in there like the whole Robert Pattinson being Batman. From when I heard it, when you think of Robert Pattinson, you think of those teenage vampire movies, And for me, those were a little bit after my time, I guess. So I never really got into them. So I don't know. I just never saw him as Batman, because to me I just didn't see him as Batman, and I was extremely pleasantly surprised when I saw the movie. But to me, it had the reason that I really enjoyed it is because the way they did the Batman. I think it was a fantastic portrayal of the Batman. in my eyes, it was probably the best portrayal of the Batman that I've seen on screen, as far as like, the way he acted, the way he looked natural. He kind of like had that street look, that daredevil look. I don't like I love, I'm pretty much a fan. Batman is probably my favorite DC, he's not probably is my favorite DC hero, because I've always been a fan of the movies, but I don't like the old school where they had him, and he couldn't move his neck and he would just turn around like this and stuff, he looked all weird. So I hated that. So this is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite portrayal of the Batman. But at the same time, it was probably my least favorite, not my least favorite, but definitely up there as one of my least favorite portrayals of Bruce Wayne. I've talked to a lot of friends and they give me a little slack. They're like, well, he was younger, blah, blah, blah. But still, I mean, obviously he wasn't as bad as like George Clooney and Val Kilmer and those guys. But, he did, when he was Bruce Wayne, I didn't see him as Bruce Wayne. There was a scene where he was shirtless, he was like all beat up and he looked like he weighed 165 pounds, So it's like, it just, when you used to seeing Bruce Wayne, lately at least, Affleck and Bale, these guys are pretty cut up and pretty, built guys and stuff. And even in Batman Begins, it's a young Bruce Wayne and he still looks like, like a man, not like a young, 18-year-old emo kid and stuff, right? So that I didn't like so much. But the good thing about this movie is that there wasn't much Bruce Wayne. I would say probably 85% of the movie he was as Batman. And as the Batman, he was fantastic. Fantastic. It was probably, I would say, the only other Batman movie to me that was better than this one was The Dark Knight, with the Joker and everything. That was probably that's my favorite DC movie of all time. And this one is probably like, it's probably around my second favorite. I would say it's probably tied with what is it? The Batman versus Superman movie. I really like that movie with Ben Affleck and whatever. But it was good, man. I was pleasantly surprised.
Don't you disrespect Michael Keaton now. I'm not going to even hear about it.
Michael Keaton was great. But the way I look at Michael Keaton is the way I look at Christopher Reeve, right? Christopher Reeve, when that movie came out, it was great. It was awesome. It was really cool. And the Batman, when it came out, I remember when it came out in '88, it was a sensation. I mean, we all dressed like it. We wore the T-shirts. It was awesome. But it was, it's like past its time. It was a really good movie and stuff, but it's not, in the level as of the Christian Bale Batman movies, and definitely not on the level as this Batman, in my opinion.
Don't you say I look at it the same way as the Christopher Reeve? Christopher Reeve, but this is another topic. But Christopher Reeve is still the definitive Superman for me, even with all the special effects like that. But
right, no, Christopher, like I said, it's the classic Superman, like the first class Superman movie. But the others too, like in Superman 2, but like then you have like some of the Superman 3 and stuff. The movies weren't so good.
Started going down, right. Really bad.
And then it started going down, and then he always had the tights were weird, so it's like. It wasn't like the Superman we have now, with what's his name? I always forget his name, with The Witcher. Yeah. I always call him The Witcher. It's a totally different Superman. This guy's huge and built, and he looks like freaking Superman, So even though that's the way, so I compare Keaton to Christopher Reeve. So it was good. It was really good for its time. But it's not. It's past its time. It's like what's his name? Carl Lewis was a great sprinter. But he's not freaking Usain Bolt. So that's the way that I look at it.
We're gonna have to do a Superman thing another day. But anyway, all right, my thoughts here. Initial thoughts. I like have a lot from both of you. You both saw it before me. You're both telling me how great it is, and I really did not expect to like this movie. I went in there thinking I'm not going to like it. Maybe that's why it helped, because I cannot see Robert Pattinson in this at all. But I was really surprised too. I really did enjoy the movie much more than I thought I was going to. I agree with what you just said exactly. I thought he made a great Batman. Some of the things that I liked, I went with my son last night. Some of the things that I liked, he did not like. But I did like that it's a detective story, because that's the Batman. He's the detective. He was called the detective earlier on, in the comics. So it was like that type of story. It was like more of a slow burn type story than, constant, just Batman action, action, action all the way. So he did have to like start solving things on his own. I like that aspect. I thought the same thing. I did not love him as Bruce Wayne at all. I thought this is not Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is supposed to be this suave, sophisticated, like, kind of airy, space-headed things. He just cares about money things, because to totally distract. This Bruce Wayne was like, exactly like Twilight, the brooding, like what's everyone think of me now type thing. It was just an odd type thing for Bruce Wayne for me. So I did not like seeing that aspect. But this was good. I mean, I did enjoy this. But again, like my son was like, there, you guys were talking about James Bond. This is what he wants. He's used to seeing Batman, the really cool car, the gadgets. And this did not feature. It had a couple of things in it, but this did not feature that. To me, what's the point of being like a billionaire, multi-billionaire, if you're not going to get all these cool little toys, and be able to do all these things? Because that's Batman. The same thing. Batman and Iron Man, the same thing. A lot of training. Batman's even less than Iron Man because he doesn't have that, that whole super powered suit. So it's basically Batman's just like us, but a lot of training doing it. I did love. I liked the Riddler a lot. I did. I thought he was really good in this. And we could talk about more of the things there. I like the Riddler. I like Catwoman. The Penguin was really good too to me. But it was good. I really enjoyed it. I did not. It started toward the ending when it started getting to the water rushing in, and that was the main, the main ending part, that the water starts rushing in. I thought, all right, that's kind of lackluster to me. That was kind of like a silly little thing to me at the end. And we'll talk about the ending parts a little bit, who they introduced the cameo. But I did like it. I did not love, again, one of the things I did not love, and DC has been doing this, I did not love them changing the Waynes around, to make them like, put like some negativity on the Wayne's legacy. So DC has been doing that a lot lately, like, taking their beloved characters and bringing them down to size. I hated that. That part I did hate. But let's talk about the characters in the movie itself. Let's go back to Troy. Let's talk about the characters themselves and what you thought about them.
I'll tell you what, right before we started, I was talking on the phone with a buddy of mine, and he was asking what I thought about Bruce Wayne, since we bring up Bruce Wayne. And the reason I think that I did not like this version of Bruce Wayne, but the reason that I think I didn't like him is because this is supposed to be the Long Halloween / Batman Year One, except it was Year Two for Batman. So in the comics, they say that Batman has evolved to be the true persona, and Bruce Wayne is the mask. So he's comfortable as Batman. He's a broody kid without the mask on. He puts the mask on. Being broody makes sense because he's Batman, but he's also Batman with the mask off. He still has Batman's mentality. He hasn't developed the mask of Bruce Wayne. He goes to the parties and he drinks ginger ale. He pretends it's champagne. He's not actually getting drunk. He has to pretend he's an a-hole and everything, but that's the mask. That's the disguise. So I think that he's still working on his disguise, just like he's working on his Batarang. And eventually that souped up car will be a Batmobile. He's working on Bruce Wayne. He's like, you know what? I don't want to go to the party. And they're like, oh, well, I know you didn't want to go to the party. That's why I told those people to come here. And he's like, here? He doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne. But he eventually has to learn, okay, I need the money so I can get a new Batmobile. I need the money because I need some shark repellent. I need the money so I can do all of these things. I need a new cape. I need all these cool gadgets. So I got to pretend to be interested in the life of Bruce Wayne so I can keep that money coming in. So he has to evolve into that persona. Right now, he's completely uninterested. So in his mind, he's Batman all the time. He takes the mask off. He still is kind of broody and everything because he's not interested in Bruce Wayne. But I agree. his Bruce Wayne portrayal sucks because he doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne. But I get where he was going. That didn't unsuck it. It was still sucked or whatever. It still sucked. But I see where they were going with it because he hasn't evolved into Bruce Wayne. I like the characters. I think that Catwoman was almost completely unnecessary to the story. She was interesting, but she didn't do anything that helped the story along.
Well, she wore that outfit. So.
The outfit was good. And Zoe's out there somewhere. She's probably watching the show. Zoe, what's happening? I just thought I'd throw that out there. But
do you guys know that Channing Tatum was hitting that? I had no idea she was with Channing Tatum.
Really?
Yeah, well, Channing Tatum, bro. He's been on that for a while now, supposedly.
And I thought he sucked too, but I guess I'm gonna have to give him props now. Hey, Chan.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the Joker, I really like the Joker. All serial killer, especially the introduction we got to the Joker.
Riddler.
When he's standing, the Riddler, when he's standing behind the dude and he's in the house and the dude does not see him. You know what? All of the time, I don't know if our fans are aware, but we're considering a spooky channel. Mm-hmm. So I've always felt like things are happening around me. Sometimes I walk through the house and I hear something and I'm like, I hear stuff.
So look out.
So I'm thinking when that guy's standing there in his house with his kid around somewhere, and there's somebody standing just inches behind him, he didn't feel it. He didn't know. I mean, if I'm walking around and one of the kids runs through the room, I know. I'm like, hey, stop touching that thing you're not supposed to touch. You know, the dude was inches behind him and he had no idea. And then that was spooky to me that he could be in that dude's house, standing right behind him.
That was good.
Thinking, I'm going to murder you. I'm just waiting for the commercial. And he's just sitting there waiting. And I'm like, that dude's going to die. He was interesting. He was very good. I liked the way that the portrayal of his riddles, instead of like having a green outfit with a bunch of question marks on it, he was giving us Son of Sam. He was giving us Gemini Killer. He was giving riddles to the police, but it was more like, follow this because I want you to know why I'm doing this, as opposed to, nah, can't catch me. And I like the Penguin. I really like the Penguin, especially considering knowing what he sounds like normally and knowing how he got that, hey, yo, sweetheart. He's got that like 70s gangster talk. I like that. I really
He's supposed to be getting his own series now. You saw that?
Yeah. I heard something about it, but I wasn't sure. So he is going to do it.
That's what they're saying now. That he's going to get his own series. I don't know how they're going to make a series of the Penguin, but you never know.
They probably have him like doing things with Batman in the background. How he's got to operate without getting caught by Batman, or maybe he'll run into him. Maybe he'll hire some criminals that they'll use for the movies or something. I don't know. It sounds like it could be interesting.
Carlos, take us away.
So I got a pretty long response here, so you guys can take a break if you want.
All right, I'm gonna get something to eat. I'll be back.
So yeah, so you guys get something to eat. So usually when we're doing these things, I'm always paying a lot of attention to everything that you guys are saying, but I always have something on in the background.
Yeah, see, no kidding.
and American Idol on in the background, and you guys should try watching American Idol on mute. It really defeats the purpose of watching American Idol. But anyway, back to this. Couple of things. So one of the things that you mentioned about, your son, about David saying that, he didn't like the fact about the gadgets and the Batmobile. I've been slipping. I apologize. I know that the whole pandemic and stuff, I haven't been around David, and I should start coming around more and talking to him, because for me, when they introduced the Batmobile in this movie, when it's revving up in the background, and you see that was like one of the coolest scenes in the whole freaking movie. I mean, it had like the hairs of the back of my shaved balls, if I had any hair there, like they were standing up, dude. I was like, oh my God, that was so freaking cool. And that whole scene when he's chasing down the Penguin, it was amazing. It was really, really good. The Batmobile itself, I mean, we didn't see a lot of like the Batcave, right, and a lot of the other things, but the Batmobile I thought was fantastic. It may not have been as cool looking as some of the other Batmobiles, but the way they introduced it and the way that it was, in that, especially in that scene when he's chasing the penguin, was amazing, man. Amazing. As far as the Riddler goes, Dano, man, that's one of the best villain portrayals I've ever seen ever. He was fantastic. I like the fact that usually in most Batman movies, the villains have always had a little bit of like a campy, like maybe a little funny side and stuff, right? And I like the fact that this one took like a really dark side. I mean, this dude's a freaking serial killer. You know what I mean? This guy's insane. There was nothing funny about this guy. He was freaking scary. And I loved that. I thought it was amazing. It was probably the best Batman villain portrayal since the Joker in the Dark Knight, to me personally. Loved it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the Penguin was very cool. It was a great character. It was done awesomely, but I hated the fact that you didn't know who it was. It could have been Troy, could have been playing the Penguin. He had so much makeup on and stuff that you would have never guessed who it was.
I haven't seen Troy and the Penguin in the same place at the same time, by the way. I just
never. That could have been Troy for all we know. And he could have been standing for Colin Farrell, right? So I kind of like the fact that I want to see the villains, but I also want to see them look like the person that they're, who's playing them, right? Colin Farrell's a pretty major dude. It's not like they were introducing some Joe Blow guy, right? So, and this guy, it could have been anybody. He was unrecognizable, right? So the character itself was cool.
He went into Dunkin' Donuts dressed up. Had you read that?
Oh, did
he went in dressed as the Penguin one time to see if anyone.
I could see him in the street tomorrow, and I would never recognize it, And one of the things that he fought against, and DC didn't let him do, is one of the characteristics of the Penguin is he has a cigarette. He either has a cigarette or a cigar or something, and they didn't let him do that. And he fought for it, and they didn't let him do that. I mean, I don't know why. I guess because they don't want to see
smoking is bad. That's exactly
right, exactly. But I guess killing people is good. You know what I mean? That's fine, right?
Murder's okay.
Murder's okay, but smoking, right, exactly. So that fact I didn't like. Even though I enjoyed the character, it was a really good character, and I'm looking forward to them breaking off into the series. I think it's going to be dealing with Arkham and stuff, whatever. But that was really cool. I like the even though it was only a couple of minutes when like a 30 seconds so they introduced the new Joker. That was kind of cool too, because he's already in Arkham, he's already insane. So this movie was kind of like one of the things that I liked about this movie is that it wasn't an origin story. Usually when they redo a Batman, it's always an origin story. So this movie happened in 6 days. 6 days. It happened from the 31st of October, which is a Halloween night, until like November 5th or 6th or something. So that was really cool. It was, it was like a week in the life of Batman, basically, right? And he was already known, the hero. He was already working as a detective. He was already working with Gordon. The police knew him. He was actually at crime scenes, and the cops were there. And even though they don't want him to be there, like you never saw that before in the movies. So that was amazing. What was I going to say? Catwoman. Yeah, Catwoman was okay. It was, I guess, the love interest. I guess, right? Could have been better, but it wasn't horrible. But as far as the villains go, the Riddler and Penguin, they were awesome. They were really, really good. But I would have liked the Penguin to look more like Colin Farrell.
But my thing here is all of them, like you said a little bit before. I do agree. Like I said, I like the darkness of the Riddler. I did enjoy that part. I thought the guy was really good. I really enjoyed his portrayal of the Riddler. I did not love that the Riddler goes to jail before we get the climax of the movie. I thought it kind of takes a little bit. I mean, I know he had this whole plan worked out, but them surrounding him in that diner kind of took like a little bit of the tension away from me later on. I want him to be discovered like toward the end, like, curses, my plan is ruined type thing. The same thing with the Penguin. I agree with you guys. I thought the Catwoman was wasted. I thought, Catwoman is such a great character. She's iconic to Batman. They did not do enough with her. They could have done so much more with that character there too. One of the things that and again, like you guys just said, the Joker, I loved already the little glimpse that I saw, but I did not love that he's in Arkham right now. I want him out in the street somewhere, like talking or something, or maybe even earlier to like a little brief appearance. So he's already in jail right now. So that's one of the things. One of the things I did not love is them showing Batman in all these different situations. Batman walking through the clubs, Batman like out among the people, Batman in daylight at the end, doing things in the daylight with like kids and stuff like that. The whole point of Batman is that you don't know him. He's this, like, you don't know if he's real. You don't know if he's this myth. And, everyone, he's out in the daylight, everyone like could just take out their phones and, take photos of him. That takes away from the mystique to me. That takes away from the element of, unknown and danger. So that part I did not love. It took away from the Batman, image a little bit like that. So like I said, I did enjoy this movie. I enjoyed this movie much more than I thought I would, but it's still, some things left me a little bit like I wanted more.
So a couple of things that you said, Jonathan. You and I normally agree on everything, obviously.
Right.
But but I mean, so the one of the things that I enjoyed about this movie, like we said before, is that this movie, it takes it's a week in his life, and we're basically, it's not an origin story. So the Batman's already.
I agree. I love that part. I did like that part.
Right. People know who he is. Like he's already, the bat signal's already up in the air. So, people, aren't blind. They see the bat signal. So they know that there's a Batman, they know that, that he's working obviously with someone, with the police or whatever, because, they're summoning him so that he can come in and help, fight crime or whatever. So he's already known. He's not a mystery, right? So it's not like the beginning of Batman, and the fact that the Joker's already in Arkham, Batman probably already put him there. So, we'll see that story, maybe obviously in another movie down the road. But, this movie was like, it's kind of like Star Wars, right? Like we start Star Wars, but Star Wars is actually episode 4, right? And, we still haven't seen episode 3, 2, 1. So that's what I really liked about this movie. It was that it was a week in the life of an established Batman already. We didn't have to sit there through the whole, okay, they kill his parents, now he's got to go train.
Blah, blah. They kill his parents.
Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So that's what I really enjoyed about the movie.
Troy, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple of points that you started with, the mystique of the Batman with him, and because if you think about it, in the movie, they put the light in the sky, and then all of the criminals are like, uh-oh, he could be in the darkness, and they're like looking into the darkness. A dude got hit by a car because he didn't want to move because he was staring at the darkness. They're scared of him because of that. Everybody's
That was effective.
terrified.
I thought that was really effective.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
But the people are scared of him too. Even after he beats those criminals to just about to death, he goes to the guy and he sticks his hand out, and the guy's like, "Don't hurt me," because he's scared of Batman too. Everybody. So at the end, Batman, in his mind, I'm assuming I'm not Batman, though I do wear the shirt. In the end, he's probably like, you know what? Everybody's scared of me. I'm not making a dent, because he narrating. I like the narration too. He's narrating. He's like, I'm not making a dent. It's not doing anything. So he's got to figure out a different way to do it. So he grabs the little girl's hand to let her know, hey, let me save you guys. I'm not just going to beat the criminals to death and then leave. I'm going to dive in the water and help you guys. See, I can help too. I'm a nice guy, sort of, except for being partially crazy. Let me get you guys out of the water. Let me help this little girl. And she didn't want to let him go. I think that's going to lead to Robin, because the reason that Batman gets Robin is so that he can help other people. They see him as more acceptable. He's not just a crazed half man, half vampire type dude swooping through the thing. He's got that little kid with him, so he's got to be okay. That little kid's there.
Always kind of an odd relationship with Robin too, but
the voice does that. I'm sorry, I just meant to turn that power off. So, and then the thing about the Joker, like Carlos said, we don't know what part of that life he's in. Is this just some dude that gets motivated by the Riddler to become the Joker? Or is it the Joker that has been brutally beaten by Batman and then locked in Arkham, and now he wants revenge and he's going to team with the Joker because he's like, oh, there's more people like me out there. He could be in either spot. I'm thinking he's just some lunatic that happens to be in Arkham that is motivated by the Riddler. Because in this world, maybe the Riddler came before the Joker, and now the Joker is going to get motivated to put a little makeup on and act like a complete lunatic. I like the fact, I didn't really like the fact, like I said, I didn't really like the fact that they kind of hinted that the Waynes were corrupt.
Right. That
When
bothered me.
they originally created Bane, the character Bane, they did the same thing. They said that Bane's mother worked for Bruce or for Thomas Wayne, and he gave her a little bit of action, and then she had the kid, and he sent her away, and she had the kid in Brazil or wherever he's from, and then he comes back, and that's how he could feel who Batman was because they're related. And then they changed the whole thing, and it's like, it makes him look like a bad guy. They're doing that in this movie. They're making him look bad again. Matter of fact, they did that in the Joker. They made him kind of look like he was a little bit of a bad guy. But I think that the introduction of the Waynes potentially being corrupt, and then introducing that the Arkhams are part of their corruptness is going to bring out the Court of Owls. Because if you got the Arkhams and you got the Waynes and all their shady businesses, you got to have the Court of Owls. So the Court of Owls is going to be, I think, part of the next one. And I would dig seeing what they're going to do with Talon in a more realistic type of a world.
Well, I did like that you guys, I mean, I did like the part in the water. I thought that was fine. But to me, Batman the next day, walking around in daylight with everything, that's something different to me. Of course, he's going to save the people in the water, but, showing around the next day, that's when you have Bruce Wayne come out and help people out. Bruce Wayne doing his philanthropy stuff. So
real quick. So one of the things that you guys were mentioning about like the Wayne family and being corrupt, to me personally, like, I know you guys don't like it, but obviously, since I'm the black sheep of this podcast, I always disagree. I like stuff like that because it makes it real. Like, the Wayne family, they're the billionaires who founded, basically helped found Gotham City. They're like one of the main families of Gotham City. Like, like in New York, you have like the Rockefellers and stuff, and, you can't tell me that the Rockefellers, didn't like do something shady, I'm sure, in their back or whatever, or, the Carnegies or whatever. Everybody, the Kennedys, everybody knows that, these billionaire families have done something kind of shady. So it kind of makes it a little bit real. And they kind of softened it up because they said, the whole thing was like that Thomas Wayne had this guy killed. And that wasn't what he said. He asked him to say, hey, listen, I don't want this to get out because we're trying to do something big here. Can you scare him? He wasn't like, he didn't think that he was going to kill him. Right. So they kind of softened it up a bit. But, I like the fact that they, even like you were saying before, Troy, with Bane, making, also referring to the Waynes, having some kind of a shady background. You can't be billionaires at that level and not have, dealt with a criminal element on the way up. You know what I mean? So I kind of like how they mix that in, and I like how they mix it into the story because, it makes it, more realistic in my humble opinion.
Well, I appreciate your point. I mean, you're wrong, but I still appreciate your point. But what do we want to see next? What do we want to see in the next Batman movie?
Introduction of new villains. I think they need to bring in.
We want to see another Joker again. I mean, we've had so many versions of the Joker. Do we want to see another Joker again?
The Joker is becoming a character that people want to play like Othello. People want to play Othello so they can say, look, I've done Othello. Look how good an actor I am, man. Ooh, they want to do that. So now, since Nicholson did it, Jack did it, and he was great. Then Ledger was like, hold my beer. And he did it, and he was great. And then Phoenix did it, and he was like, hold my, soy latte. And he was great at it. Now everybody is standing in line saying, you know what? I've got an interesting twist that I can put on the Joker. So they're fighting to do a better one-upmanship. So I think if they pick another guy to do the Joker, he's going to be under heavy pressure, considering who has done it in the past and what they have done with it. Now, we all know there's one Joker, he who shall not be named, who was not really that good. But all the rest of them were great. You know, even Caesar Romero was great. I liked him in the Batman TV series.
Absolutely.
But there's one, but the rest of them, you know, following in their footsteps.
Are we gonna
man, they're
gonna see Joaquin Phoenix interact with this Batman?
They're supposed to be doing, because this is the DCEU Black universe. So this is their dark stuff. So they're supposed to be doing another Joker.
Right.
So I think he's gotta they're probably in the same universe. Maybe, but then that would make the guy whose lips he was yanking on at the gate, that would make him Bruce Wayne. And that he'd be way too old. He'd be like 20 years his senior. So if Joaquin Phoenix did it, they're gonna have to old him up. They're gonna have to make him older. But I don't think Joaquin is gonna be in it, but I would like to see a Joker, or at least the dawn of a Joker. I'd like to see the Riddler back. They can get rid of that Catwoman. You know, I mean, she can walk through a scene in a bikini. That would be cool. But then, you know, get rid of her. And I'd like to see Batman beat the brakes off of somebody else. That I enjoyed that. I like that.
Troy's violent. Okay. And Carlos, what do you want to see next?
So as far as the Joker's concerned, he's already cast. It's the kid from the Eternals. He was in the freaking movie. We didn't get to see him and stuff, but I mean, the Joker's already been cast. You know, we already know who it's going to be. So it's, you know, we're going to see the Joker. You know, he was. I like the fact that they didn't really truly introduce him and show his face and stuff, because, you know, this movie wasn't about the Joker. It was about the Riddler and, you know, introducing Penguin and whatever. So I like the fact that they're going to save it for another movie, which is great. I know that supposedly all the rumors are that kid Timothy Chalamet is going to be Robin. And, you know, so we're obviously going to be seeing a Robin as well.
Doesn't seem that much younger than Pattinson. So,
huh? No, well, I mean, Pattinson's like what, 35 or something, and Chalamet's like in his 20s. So yeah, but I mean, he looks, you know, he looks really young. The kid, he looks like he could be young. But anyway, what do you call it? I mean, like I said, I enjoyed the Penguin, so obviously we're going to see more on him in his own series. The next movie is supposed to be basically the court. Supposedly, all the rumors are it's going to be the Court of Owls, which is fantastic. It was the Court of Owls was introduced in the New 52 Batman series, and they're kind of like a version of the Ra's al Ghul's old school, but you know, they're like a newer version. They're, you know, the Court of Owls are kind of like basically like, you know, built into Gotham's elite, into all the billionaires and all the people that run Gotham and stuff. You know, it's something that's really, it's going to be really cool, because it was a great story in the comics. So we're going to see that. Let's see what else. You know who we didn't talk about, who I didn't like. I'm just thinking about now. I didn't like Claw as Alfred. I didn't like him as Alfred. I didn't see to me he wasn't a good Alfred. He was just okay. It was like, you know. I mean, they didn't show him much. They only showed him a little bit in the movie, but you know, I didn't really. To me, he looks too like a street, like he doesn't look sophisticated. Like, to me, when I think of Alfred, I think of a sophisticated Englishman, you know, like a butler, and he didn't seem that way. You know what I mean? So I didn't really like him as a. What's his name? We didn't. Who I really liked also was
Commissioner Gordon. Yeah,
Commissioner Gordon. He was really
great.
good.
He was great.
Yeah, he was a really good Commissioner Gordon.
You love him in everything. So as soon as I saw him on screen, I said, "Oh, Carlos must be like doing like mean things to himself now because."
Oh, I love him. He's great in What If. He's great in Westworld. You know, he's one of the kids. The guy's a great actor.
Yes, he is.
He was a really good Commissioner Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, there's like the good thing of Batman is like Spider-Man. You know, Batman has a million villains. So there's so many things, and he's got, you know, it's probably when it comes to superheroes, the greatest cast of villains are Batmans and Spider-Mans. So you know, they can make 10 movies. You know, so.
Well, to me, the same thing. I keep going back and forth whether I want another Joker. It's like the same thing. We've seen Joker so many times, like, you know, you guys just said. But again, you know, you want to see him. That's Batman's villain. You want to see the different interpretations of it.
Yeah, he's in there. There's no doubt about it.
I keep going like, do I want another Joker already? But like, yeah, I do. I guess I do. I want to see this thing. So I don't know. There's so many stories. Like I said, I will definitely see the next movie. I hope we see more of Bruce Wayne, like Bruce Wayne is supposed to be to me. But this was good. This was an interesting twist on everything. And so I definitely enjoyed it. And all right, scale
What
one
do
to
you
10.
what do you guys rank? What do you guys rank it among your Batman movies all time? Stumped you.
This is out of what do we got? Like 11 Batman movies or something? I'd put
Yeah,
this
like,
as
what would you rank it?
number 2.
Yeah, me too.
It's pretty high up there.
What's your
man.
number one?
My number 1 is probably Dark Knight,
Yeah, me
because
too.
I just watched that today.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, and with the Court of Owls, who they remind me of for Marvel would be the Hellfire Club.
Yeah,
They remind
absolutely.
me of the Hellfire Club.
Absolutely.
I'm going to put this as my number 3 because I do think Dark Knight's the best, but I will say just because Keaton's original Batman, because it brought Batman to the screen and made it, wow, we had not had good superhero movie. I mean, since the first couple of Christopher Reeve, then we've like we go through these stages like, oh, then superhero movies are dead again.
Yeah.
And then Batman brought it back again. Batman was the introduction to like, I guess, the modern age of superhero films.
Oh, I love Keaton's Batman. To me, it's number 4. Number 3 is Batman versus Superman.
That's down for me. That's
I
further
love
down.
that.
I gotta say this: Jeffrey Wright is a great actor, but my favorite thing that he was good in this movie. My favorite thing that he's ever done is when he was Peoples Hernandez, and what's the movie with the cop? Shaft. He plays Peoples Hernandez. That was hilarious.
I think he was in Westworld. He was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Westworld too. Yeah.
Amazing.
So what do we scale 1 to 10? What do you guys think? This one, what do we give it?
Wow, for me, it's I would give it a 9, bro. It was a good movie, man. I would give it a 9.
I give it 8.5. It was really good. This was a good movie.
And I'm an 8. I give it an 8 on this one. So I like I said, I did like it much better than I thought. So to me, it was an 8, but it was good. It was a good movie. I definitely
Jonathan would have been really happy if the Mandalorian would have showed up somewhere in the movie.
Mandalorian gets a 10.5. Absolutely. I was waiting. I was like, Dave, just wait. He's coming.
He's in there somewhere. Oh, Mephisto. Where's Mephisto?
Anyway, thanks again. Thanks for watching. This has been Comics and Pop. Let us know in the comments what you guys think of this movie, where your favorite Batman is, and also which Batman you thought was the best. So again, I'm Jonathan along with Troy and Carlos, and thanks for watching, and please subscribe.